My fiance didn't notice I was crying at our engagement party until a stranger asked if I was okay. Then he finally looked at me. My fiance, Marcus, planned our engagement party at his parents' country club, the kind of place where everyone whispers and judges your shoes. I stood by the champagne fountain watching him work the room, shaking hands with his dad's business partners and laughing at jokes I couldn't hear from across the ballroom. I'd been there for 40 minutes, and he hadn't looked at me once. His mom, Linda, kept introducing me to people as Marcus's fiance, then immediately redirecting the conversation to Marcus's promotion or Marcus's golf handicap. I smiled until my face hurt. The crying started after Linda pulled me aside near the coat check. She adjusted my necklace without asking, the same way she'd adjusted my hair at dinner last week and my dress at the theater the week before. She said we needed to talk about the wedding timeline, that Marcus had very specific career goals and we'd need to coordinate the ceremony around his work schedule. I tried to tell her Marcus and I hadn't actually discussed dates yet, but she kept talking over me, saying they'd already reserved the club for October 2 years from now, that she'd spoken to 3 wedding planners, that my input would be welcome once they'd established the basic framework. Something in me just cracked. I excused myself and walked to the back terrace where the light was dimmer. That's when the tears came, quiet and hot down my cheeks. I wasn't sobbing or making noise, just standing there letting it happen while string music drifted through the open doors. A woman I'd never seen before appeared next to me. She was older, maybe 60, wearing a blue dress that didn't match the formal vibe of the party. She asked if I was okay and handed me a cocktail napkin for my face. I told her I was fine, just overwhelmed. She studied me for a long moment, then asked if I was the bride. When I nodded, she said something strange. She said she'd been watching me all night and nobody at this party was looking at me. Not really looking, like I wasn't quite there. Before I could respond, Marcus appeared in the doorway. He called my name like he was surprised to find me outside. The woman in blue touched my arm and said, "Think about what I just said," then walked past Marcus back into the party. Marcus asked what that was about, and I realized he hadn't actually noticed I was crying. His eyes moved to my face for maybe 2 seconds before shifting back toward the ballroom. He said people were asking where I was, that his parents wanted to do the toast soon. I asked him how long he'd been looking for me. He seemed confused by the question, said he'd just noticed I wasn't inside, maybe 5 minutes ago, but I'd been gone for 20 minutes. I'd timed it on my phone. Back inside, I started noticing things. The way Marcus's college friends would start conversations with me, then drift away mid-sentence like they'd forgotten I was talking. How the photographer kept taking pictures of Marcus alone, even though I was standing right next to him. Linda gave her toast about how proud she was of her son, how he'd accomplished so much, how this was such an exciting next chapter for him. She never said my name, not once in a 4-minute speech about our engagement. Marcus's best friend Ryan came over to congratulate us. He shook Marcus's hand and said he was happy for him, looked right through me like I was a window. I said thanks anyway, and Ryan jumped like he'd just noticed me standing there. Then there was the guest book. I watched person after person sign it with messages for Marcus. Congratulations, Marcus. So happy for you, Marcus. Wishing you all the best, Marcus. Nobody wrote anything about us as a couple. I found the woman in blue again near the bar. Asked her why she said nobody was looking at me. She took a long sip of her drink before answering. Said her daughter went through something similar. That sometimes people's families are so overwhelming, so controlling, they erase the other person without meaning to. But then she said something that made my blood cold. She said sometimes it's not accidental. Sometimes families do it on purpose, treating the new person like they're temporary or invisible, testing to see if they'll speak up or just disappear into the background quietly. I asked what happened to her daughter. She said her daughter almost married into a family like that, almost let herself become invisible. But 2 weeks before the wedding, her daughter found something that changed everything. I was about to ask what she found when Marcus appeared again. He put his hand on my lower back, but he was looking at his phone. Said we needed to cut the cake soon, that the photographer was waiting. The woman in blue was already walking away. That's when I decided to check something. I went to the bathroom and pulled up Marcus's Instagram. He'd posted 6 photos from the party in the last hour. Him with his parents, him with Ryan, him giving a speech I didn't remember him giving. I was in the background of exactly 1 photo, blurry, half out of frame, like someone cropped me out and didn't quite finish the job. I scrolled back through his posts from the last 3 months, the night he proposed, our anniversary dinner, the weekend we went to his family's lake house, hundreds of photos. I wasn't in any of them, not one, and that's when I realized what the woman in blue had been trying to tell me, because the rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. I'm still staring at Marcus's Instagram feed when I hear Linda's voice calling my name from the hallway. I quickly lock my phone and wipe away the tears that have started flowing again. I can't face her right now. I can't face any of them. Instead of returning to the party, I slip out through the side entrance of the bathroom, the one that leads to the service corridor. A waiter gives me a startled look but doesn't stop me as I follow the hallway to the back exit. The night air hits my face, cool and clarifying after the stifling atmosphere inside. My car is parked in the main lot, but I can't bring myself to go back that way. I'll call a rideshare. I dig through my clutch for my phone and something else falls out. A small cream-colored business card with elegant blue lettering. Eleanor Campbell, family therapist. On the back, handwritten, "When you're ready to talk." The woman in the blue dress. Eleanor. She must have slipped it into my purse when I wasn't looking. I order a car and wait in the shadows of the building, ignoring the buzz of my phone as Marcus finally notices I'm gone. 3 texts in quick succession. "Where are you? Mom's looking for you. We need to do the cake cutting." Not "Are you okay?" Not "I'm worried." Just logistics and his mother. The hotel I check into is nothing special, just a mid-range chain a few miles from the country club. I sit on the edge of the bed in my engagement party dress, the one Linda insisted would photograph well with Marcus's suit. I kick off the uncomfortable heels she selected and pull up Instagram again. This time I go deeper, scrolling back not just months but years. The pattern is unmistakable. There's Marcus at his cousin's wedding. I remember standing right next to him, but the photo is cropped just at my shoulder. Marcus at his firm's holiday party. I'm visible in the background, but blurred, like I'm a stranger who wandered into frame. Marcus at his family's Thanksgiving. I cooked for 3 days, but the photos show only him carving the turkey, his mother serving pie, his father pouring wine. My phone buzzes again. Linda's name appears on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, she calls again and again. After the fourth call, I listen to her message. Where on earth did you disappear to? Marcus is beside himself. The photographer is waiting, and I've got the society editor from the Herald here specifically to cover the announcement. Call me back immediately so we can salvage this article. Salvage the article, not salvage the evening, or check if I'm okay. The article. My phone pings with an email notification. It's from Linda, sent to both Marcus and me. The subject line reads, engagement announcement draft, urgent approval needed. I open it with shaking hands. The article is already written, ready to be submitted to the Herald Society page. It describes our engagement party in glowing terms, the decor, the menu, the notable guests. It mentions Marcus's recent promotion, his alma mater, his community service with the firm's foundation. It names his parents, grandparents, even his second cousins who flew in from Seattle. My name appears exactly twice, once as Marcus's fiance and once as the bride-to-be. No mention of my job, my family, my education. Nothing about who I am beyond my relationship to Marcus. At the bottom, Linda's note, need approval by midnight for Sunday's edition. Marcus, your father suggests removing the part about the Anderson merger since it's not finalized. Emily, I've taken the liberty of listing your dress as Vera Wang rather than that boutique label. It reads better. I didn't even wear Vera Wang. I scroll back through my own photos from the last year. There we are at the lake house, my arm around Marcus's waist, his attention on his phone. There we are at his firm's dinner, me smiling at the camera, him looking past me at something more interesting. There we are on our anniversary, my face glowing with happiness, his expression distracted and vague. How did I not see it? The woman in blue, Eleanor, was right. I've been disappearing slowly, becoming a prop in the Ashford family production. My phone rings again. It's Marcus this time. I let it go to voicemail. His message is terse. Where are you? Mom's freaking out about the Herald piece. Call me. I turn off my phone and curl up on the hotel bed, still in my party dress. Tomorrow, I'll have to decide what to do, but tonight, I just need to process the truth I've discovered. I'm engaged to a man who doesn't see me. I'm planning to marry into a family that's already erasing me. And somewhere in my purse is a business card from a woman who seems to know exactly what's happening. I wait until 10:30 the next morning, when I know Marcus will be at his weekly strategy meeting. The Uber drops me off at our apartment building, and I feel like a stranger as I nod to the doorman who's seen me every day for 2 years. Everything all right, Miss Emily? He asks, concern etching his face. Mr. Ashford was looking for you last night. Seemed worried. Just a misunderstanding, I say, forcing a smile. I'm fine. Our apartment feels different somehow, like I'm seeing it through new eyes. The framed photos on the wall that I always thought were our memories now reveal their truth. They're carefully staged moments that feature Marcus prominently, while I'm either partially visible or positioned in a way that makes cropping easy. I head straight for our shared laptop on the desk in the corner. Marcus thinks I don't know his password, but I've seen him type it enough times. His mother's maiden name and his birth year, not exactly Fort Knox. The files are organized with his typical precision. Work documents, tax records, photos sorted by year and event. But there's another folder I've never noticed, tucked inside a subfolder labeled Wedding. It's called Edits, and my hands shake as I click on it. Dozens of photos fill the screen. Photos of us, but not the versions I've seen. These are the originals, before they were cropped or filtered for social media. There I am, standing next to Marcus at his firm's Christmas party, wearing the red dress I loved, but Linda said was too bright. In the posted version, I'd been cropped out entirely. Another photo shows us at his cousin's wedding. The original has me leaning against Marcus's shoulder, smiling. The edited version has me blurred into the background, like I'm just another wedding guest. My throat tightens as I click through file after file. It's methodical, this erasure. Not just random crops, but deliberate editing to minimize my presence while highlighting Marcus. I close the folder, feeling sick, and notice another file labeled Wedding Timeline Final. I open it to find a detailed spreadsheet with color coding and multiple tabs. It's our wedding plan, except I've never seen it before. The document was created by Linda, last modified 3 days ago. Every detail is specified. The venue, the Ashford family church, not the garden ceremony I wanted. The reception, the country club, not the art gallery we discussed. The guest list over 300 names, most of whom I don't know. My family is allocated exactly 50 spots. Immediate family and closest friends only, while the Ashford side takes up the rest. There's even a tab labeled Bride Appearance with detailed notes. Hair, updo, traditional, see reference photos. Makeup, classic, not too bold. Dress, A-line, traditional, modest neckline. Linda to schedule fittings. Weight management, begin program 12 months before ceremony to ensure proper fit. My hands are shaking so hard I can barely click to the next tab, which outlines the ceremony itself. I'm mentioned as bride throughout, never by name. There are notes about when I should speak, minimal, and how I should stand, always slightly behind Marcus. The honeymoon tab shows a 2-week cruise selected by Marcus's parents as their gift to us, something we've never discussed. I've always been clear about my seasickness, but that detail is nowhere to be found in the extensive planning document. My phone rings, startling me. Unknown number. I almost ignore it, but something makes me answer. Hello, is this Emily? The voice is familiar, elegant, slightly husky. Yes, this is Emily. This is Eleanor Campbell. We met briefly last night at your engagement party. The woman in the blue dress. I hope I'm not disturbing you, but I wanted to check if you were all right. I sink into the chair, suddenly exhausted. I don't know what I am right now. There's a pause. I understand. More than you might realize. Her voice softens. Emily, there's something you should know. My daughter Sophia was engaged to Marcus's cousin James 8 years ago. My breath catches. What happened? The same thing that's happening to you. The slow erasure. The family taking control. The bride becoming a prop in their production. She sighs. Sophia broke things off 3 weeks before the wedding. The Ashfords threatened legal action over the deposits. boss tried to ruin her professional reputation. It was difficult. I'm silent, processing this information as I stare at the wedding timeline created without my input or knowledge. There are others, Eleanor continues. Women who've been through this with the Ashford men. It's a pattern that goes back generations. My phone beeps with an incoming call. Marcus. I ignore it. I don't know what to do. I admit to Eleanor. You don't have to decide everything right now, but I'd like to meet with you if you're willing. There are things you should know before you make any decisions. My phone beeps again. A text from Linda. Marcus says you're at the apartment. Wait there. We're coming to talk sense into you. Can we meet today? I ask Eleanor, suddenly urgent. I need to leave here soon. Of course. There's a cafe called Bluebird on 7th Street. I can be there in 30 minutes. I agree and hang up, quickly gathering essential items. My passport, birth certificate, the jewelry my grandmother left me. As I'm shoving things into a bag, I notice a small velvet box on Marcus's nightstand that I've never seen before. Inside is a diamond bracelet with a note card for my beautiful fiance to wear at our engagement dinner. The first of many gifts as you become an Ashford. Marcus. The engagement dinner. Another event I knew nothing about. I hear the elevator ding in the hallway and freeze. They're here already. I grab my bag and head for the service stairs at the end of the hall, heart pounding as I hear the key in our front door. As I slip down the stairwell, I hear Linda's voice echo through the apartment. Emily, we need to discuss this ridiculous behavior. The Herald is holding the announcement for us, but we need to move quickly. I don't stop. I keep moving downward, away from the life that was being constructed around me without my consent, toward the cafe where Eleanor Campbell waits with answers about the family I almost married into. The Bluebird Cafe is tucked between a bookstore and a vintage clothing shop, its blue awning fluttering in the late morning breeze. I spot Eleanor immediately, sitting at a corner table by the window, her silver hair gleaming in the sunlight. She rises when she sees me, concern etched across her elegant features. Emily, she says, taking my hands in hers. I'm so glad you came. I sink into the chair opposite her, my overnight bag at my feet. Thank you for meeting me. I didn't know where else to go. The waitress brings us coffee, and Eleanor waits until she's gone before speaking. How much do you know about the Ashford family? Not enough, apparently. I wrap my hands around the warm mug. I know they're wealthy, influential. I know Linda micromanages everything. I know Marcus seems to care more about appearances than substance. Eleanor nods, her expression grim. The Ashfords have been doing this for generations. They select partners for their sons who are accomplished enough to be assets, but malleable enough to be controlled. She reaches into her bag and pulls out a leather portfolio. My daughter Sophia kept records. After what happened with James, she wanted to make sure other women wouldn't fall into the same trap. She opens the portfolio, revealing newspaper clippings, photographs, handwritten notes. 5 women before Sophia were engaged to Ashford men. All followed the same pattern. First, the whirlwind courtship, lavish gifts, romantic gestures, promises of a perfect life together. I think of the diamond bracelet I found, the note about becoming an Ashford. Then, Eleanor continues, the gradual isolation. Friends and family slowly pushed aside. Career opportunities mysteriously complicated by scheduling conflicts with Ashford family events. My stomach tightens as I remember canceling lunch with my college roommate 3 times because Linda had scheduled urgent wedding vendor meetings. Finally, the erasure. Eleanor points to a society page announcement from 15 years ago. Rebecca Chen, engaged to William Ashford. Look at how she's described. I scan the text. William Ashford, son of Richard and Margaret Ashford, announces his engagement to Rebecca. The bride-to-be, a Stanford graduate, will be joining the Ashford Foundation after the wedding. No last name, no family mentioned, no career beyond joining the family organization. What happened to her, I ask. She broke it off 2 months before the wedding. The Ashfords threatened to sue her for breach of promise. They called her employer and suggested she was unstable. Eleanor's eyes harden. She moved to Seattle and changed her name. She shows me more evidence. Social media posts where girlfriends and fiancés are gradually edited out, wedding plans that ignore the bride's preferences, prenuptial agreements that essentially turn wives into employees of the Ashford family. And Sophia? What happened after she broke up with James? Eleanor's face softens with pain. They destroyed her reputation in our social circle. James started rumors that she was unstable, that she'd been unfaithful. Linda personally called Sophia's boss to suggest she wasn't reliable enough for her position. She sighs. Sophia moved to Portland. She's happy now, married to a wonderful man who actually sees her. But it took years for her to recover. I'm about to ask more when the cafe door swings open with enough force to make the bell above it clang violently. Marcus strides in, his face a mask of controlled anger. His eyes scan the room and lock onto me. There you are, he says, his voice deceptively calm as he approaches our table. You've had everyone worried sick. Eleanor straightens in her chair, her expression neutral but watchful. I needed some time to think, I say, my heart pounding. Marcus glances at Eleanor, then the portfolio on the table. And who is this? Before I can answer, he spots the newspaper clippings with the Ashford name. His jaw tightens. What exactly is going on here? I'm learning about your family, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. About what happens to the women who marry Ashford men. Marcus's laugh is sharp and dismissive. You're being ridiculous. Mom was right. You're having some kind of breakdown. He reaches for my arm. Come on, we're going home. We can discuss whatever's bothering you there. I pull away from his grasp. I'm not going anywhere with you, Marcus. His eyes narrow, and for a moment, I see something I've never noticed before, a cold calculation behind his charm. Emily, you're making a scene. This isn't like you. That's exactly the problem, I say. You don't know what I'm like. You've been too busy crafting the perfect fiancé to notice the actual woman you proposed to. The cafe has gone quiet, other patrons pretending not to watch our confrontation. Marcus lowers his voice to a harsh whisper. You're embarrassing yourself. And me. We have the Herald announcement going to print tomorrow. The engagement dinner is next week. This little episode needs to end now. The door chimes again, and Linda sweeps in, immaculately dressed as always. She spots us and marches over, her designer heels clicking on the hardwood floor. Finally, she says, not bothering with a greeting. Emily, this behavior is completely unacceptable. I've had to call the Herald twice to delay the announcement. She notices Eleanor and freezes, recognition flickering across her face. You, she hisses. You're Sophia's mother. Eleanor inclines her head slightly. Hello, Linda. It's been what, 8 years? Linda turns to Marcus. Get Emily out of here now. This woman is poisoning her mind with lies. They're not lies if I have evidence, Eleanor says calmly, gesturing to the portfolio. Receipts, as the young people say. Marcus grabs my arm again, harder this time. We're leaving. I wrench away from him. Touch me again, and I'll scream. Something in my voice must convince him, because he steps back, his expression darkening. Linda looks around the cafe, clearly calculating the damage to their reputation if this continues in public. Emily, she says, her voice honey-sweet now. Whatever you're upset about, we can discuss it at home, as a family. I'm not family, I say. I'm a prop, a carefully selected accessory for Marcus's perfect life. I saw the wedding plans you made without me, Linda. I saw the photos Marcus edited to minimize my presence. Marcus's face flushes with anger. You went through my private files? You had no right. Like you had no right to plan my entire life without my input? I stand up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. The wedding at your family's church instead of the garden I wanted? The cruise honeymoon when you know I get seasick? The weight management program scheduled to start next month? Linda steps forward, her voice low and threatening. You're making a terrible mistake. Do you have any idea what the Ashford name can do for you? What doors it can open? What doors it can close? There it is, the threat barely concealed beneath a polished veneer. I'd rather have my own name and my own life, I say, reaching down to grab my bag. The engagement is off, Marcus. I'll mail the ring back to you. Marcus's face contorts with rage. You don't walk away from me, he snarls, grabbing my wrist so hard I gasp in pain. No one walks away from an Ashford. The cafe owner steps forward. Sir, you need to let go of her right now, or I'm calling the police. Marcus releases me, but his eyes are cold with fury. You'll regret this, he says. When you realize what you've thrown away, don't come crawling back. Linda's smile is brittle as she adjusts her designer purse on her shoulder. We've invested too much in this relationship to let it end over a temper tantrum, Emily. When you've calmed down, we'll discuss reasonable terms for moving forward. There are no terms, I say. It's over. They leave. Marcus practically shoving a customer aside as he storms out, Linda following with one last venomous glare at Eleanor. The cafe is silent for a moment before conversations slowly resume. The owner brings us fresh coffee and says it's on the house. My hands are shaking as I lift the cup. You did well, Eleanor says softly. Better than most. What happens now? I ask, suddenly terrified of the future stretching before me. Will they really try to ruin me? Eleanor reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. They might try, but you're not alone, Emily. There are others who've been through this. We help each other. She pulls out her phone and shows me a private social media group. We call ourselves the Ashford Family Survivors. There are 17 of us now. 18, counting you. I stare at the screen, at the faces of women who understand exactly what I'm going through. Women who escaped. Women who rebuilt their lives. We meet once a month, Eleanor says. The next gathering is this Sunday. Will you come? Outside the window, I see Marcus's car still idling at the curb, Linda gesturing angrily inside it. They're not done with me yet. This is just the beginning of whatever retribution they have planned. But for the first time in months, maybe years, I feel like I can breathe. Yes, I say, turning back to Eleanor. I'll be there. The morning I returned Marcus's ring. It was raining. A steady, relentless downpour that matched my mood. I'd considered mailing it as I'd threatened at the cafe, but Eleanor advised against it. Never give them an opportunity to claim you stole or damaged it, she said. Return it in person, with witnesses. So here I was, standing in the Ashford family lawyer's office, placing the diamond ring on a velvet tray while a paralegal filmed the exchange, and Eleanor stood beside me like a guardian angel. The lawyer, a thin man with cold eyes, pushed a document across the table. This confirms the termination of your engagement and waives any claims to Ashford family assets, he said, not looking at me. Sign at the bottom. I scanned the document, noting the clause that would prevent me from discussing the Ashford family publicly. Eleanor placed her hand on my arm. My client will need time to review this with her own attorney, she said firmly. The lawyer's eyebrows rose. Miss Campbell, I was under the impression you were here as a friend, not as counsel. I'm here as both, Eleanor replied, and that non-disclosure clause is unacceptable. I left with the ring on the tray, but the document unsigned, the lawyer's threat following us into the elevator. Linda won't be pleased. Let her be displeased, Eleanor said as the doors closed. What can she do now? The answer came 3 days later. I was fired from my job at a marketing firm where I'd worked for 4 years. My boss couldn't quite meet my eyes as he explained there had been complaints about my work and concerns about my reliability. When I asked for specifics, he mumbled something about client relationships and handed me a severance check. I knew immediately what had happened. The Ashfords had connections throughout the city's business community. One call from Linda or Richard Ashford suggesting I was difficult or unstable would be enough. They're following the playbook, Eleanor said when I called her, trying not to cry. It's what they did to Sophia and the others. First they tried to intimidate you, then they attack your livelihood. That Sunday, Eleanor drove me to a suburban home with a garden full of wildflowers. Inside, 15 women of various ages sat in a circle in the living room. Some looked vaguely familiar from Eleanor's portfolio. Everyone, Eleanor announced. This is Emily. She was engaged to Marcus Ashford until last week. A woman about my age with short dark hair stood up. Welcome to the Survivors Club, she said, hugging me. I'm Sophia, James Ashford's ex-fiance and Eleanor's daughter. For the next 3 hours, I listened to their stories. Rebecca, who'd been engaged to William Ashford, described how they'd called her employer. Jennifer showed me the fake social media accounts the family had created to spread rumors about her after she broke up with Marcus's cousin. Alicia explained how they threatened her family's small business. The good news, said an older woman named Diane, is that they eventually move on. They have to. The Ashford men need their trophy wives. She was right. 3 weeks after our confrontation at the cafe, Marcus was photographed at a charity gala with a new woman on his arm, a slender blonde who worked at his father's bank. I felt a strange mixture of relief and concern for her. Should we warn her? I asked Sophia over coffee the following week. She shook her head sadly sadly. We tried that with others. They never believe it until they're in too deep. The Ashford charm is powerful. Finding a new job proved challenging. 3 promising interviews ended with awkward rejections. At the 4th, the hiring manager was more honest. "Look, I'd hire you in a heartbeat," she said, "but I got a call from someone at Ashford Financial suggesting you were problematic. I'm sorry." Eleanor's group rallied around me. Jennifer helped me update my resume. Rebecca, who now worked at a tech startup in another state, arranged a remote interview. By month 3, I had a new job working from home for a company with no connections to the Ashfords. I moved to a smaller apartment across town and started rebuilding my life one day at a time. The nightmares about Marcus and Linda gradually faded. I stopped checking social media obsessively for news of them. I made new friends through a book club Eleanor recommended. 6 months after the breakup, I was having dinner with Sophia when she showed me a photo on her phone. Marcus and the blonde woman, now wearing an engagement ring identical to mine. "Her name is Vanessa," Sophia said. "She works at Ashford Financial. Linda's already planning the wedding for October next year." I felt a pang of sadness for this woman who had no idea what she was walking into. "The same timeline they had for us," I noted. "Down to the month," Sophia confirmed. "They never changed the formula." A week later, I was grocery shopping when I spotted her, Vanessa, examining avocados in the produce section. She wore the same diamond ring that had once weighed down my hand. On impulse, I approached her. "That's a beautiful ring," I said. She looked up, smiling proudly. "Thank you. I just got engaged. To Marcus Ashford, right?" Her smile faltered slightly. I recognized the ring. I had one just like it last year. Her expression shifted from confusion to recognition. "You're Emily." The way she said my name made it clear she'd heard about me, and not the truth. "Let me guess," I said gently. "They told you I was unstable, that I had emotional problems, that I tried to take advantage of the family?" She clutched her shopping basket tighter. "Marcus said you became obsessed with his family's status, that you wanted to control everything." I laughed softly, the irony almost too perfect. "Has Linda started planning your October wedding yet? Has she mentioned the weight management program?" Vanessa's face paled. "How did you know about that?" I took a business card from my wallet, my own this time, not Eleanor's, and pressed it into her hand. "When you're ready to talk, call me, or when they start editing you out of photos. Or when Linda schedules appointments without telling you." She shook her head, backing away. "You're exactly how they described you." "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe you'll remember this conversation in a few months when things start feeling wrong." She hurried away, leaving her basket of groceries abandoned by the avocados. I didn't expect to hear from her, but 3 weeks later, my phone rang with an unknown number. "Is this Emily?" a hesitant voice asked. "This is Vanessa. I found some files on Marcus's laptop. Wedding plans I never discussed, and something called Bride Appearance Guidelines." I closed my eyes, feeling a strange mixture of sadness and vindication. "I'm going to give you an address," I said. "We meet on Sundays at 2 p.m. There are women there who understand exactly what you're going through." "I'm not breaking up with him," she said quickly. "I just want to understand what's happening. That's all any of us wanted at first," I told her. "Just come listen." The following Sunday, Vanessa sat next to me in Eleanor's circle, twisting her engagement ring nervously as she listened to our stories. She didn't say much, but I recognized the look in her eyes, the same dawning realization I'd experienced in that hotel room a year ago, staring at Marcus's Instagram. After the meeting, she approached me hesitantly. "How did you find the strength to leave?" she asked. "I'm scared of what they might do." I thought about the job I'd lost, the reputation they'd tried to destroy, the months of rebuilding my life piece by piece. It wasn't easy, I admitted, but staying would have meant disappearing completely. "I need to think," she said. 2 days later, she called again. "I confronted Marcus about the files," she said, her voice shaking. "He got so angry. I've never seen him like that. He said I had no right to go through his things, that I was acting crazy like." She paused. "Like you. What do you want to do?" I asked. "I don't know yet, but I'm staying with my sister tonight. Can we talk tomorrow?" The next day, Vanessa returned her ring through the same lawyer I had used. A week later, she joined our Sunday group permanently, and just like that, I became the Eleanor to her Emily, guiding another woman away from the family that had almost erased me. 1 year after my broken engagement, I stood in front of our expanded group, now 22 women strong, and realized something profound. The Ashfords had tried to make me disappear, but instead, they had made me more visible than ever. In helping others escape their pattern, I had found a purpose stronger than any I might have had as an Ashford wife. They wanted to erase us, I told the circle of women. Instead, they made us impossible to ignore.